There's never been a better time to buy a drone. That's because drones are housing top-notch 4K cameras and sporting portable form factors. That is, many of the best drones these days fold up for easy transport, so you can take them wherever your next adventure is headed. Super steady video stabilization is also a hallmark of a great drone, and you'll find this available in just about every drone model out there. You don't have to be an expert drone operator to get started with a high-quality drone. Most drones are easy to pick up and start flying, though selecting the best drone is still a difficult task. DJI Maverick Air. It's hard not to absolutely love the Maverick Air, the premier foldable drone that can capture steady 4K video at 60 frames per second, yet fit into a backpack or even a jacket pocket. There aren't many compromises either, if you're okay with a 21-minute battery life, but that's enough time for most people, especially if you buy into the Fly More bundle with 3 batteries. Totally worth it. The Maverick Air is small, fast, and can do a lot of neat tricks. It can track moving objects, boomerang around them on a pre-coordinated path, and take a spherical video as if it's crashing down to Earth to capture your ultimate drone selfie. The Maverick Air is a true pocket rocket that excels in every department. Figure in the 4 folding rotor arms, and what you have here is the most portable 4K camera-equipped drone currently on the market. The 4K video quality from the Air's robust 3-axis camera system is generally on a par with the larger Mavic Pro, while its 12-megapixel photos are arguably more detailed and blessed with better contrast. It can also take 4 styles of panorama images, and it does this all by itself. Simply select the panorama function and the drone hovers in one spot while it takes a series of images from different angles, with no pilot input, which it then stitches together to produce a seamless widescreen vista. The Air can also be controlled with palm gestures or a mobile phone. Handy additions for those times when you can't be bothered to dig out the supplied hand controller. That said, flying with the hand controller is far and away the most satisfying way to operate it. It also lets you fly much further, up to 4 kilometers, 2.48 miles away and back again. The Maverick Air's hand controller doesn't come with an LCD screen, so you'll need to rely solely on the data and picture feed to your smartphone or mini tablet. But that's no big issue, as long as your mobile has enough battery. The addition of obstacle avoidance sensors on the rear, as well as to the fore and below the craft, makes flying more confidence-inspiring than ever, and is arguably the best reason for choosing a Maverick Air. For something so small, you'd be amazed at how well this titchy drone copes in winds as strong as 22 miles per hour and even higher. It's also very fast, especially in sport mode. How does 42 miles per hour grab you? Granted, the noise this little tyke makes is higher pitched than the larger Maverick, to the point that it can be a bit irritating. Seriously though, that's a tiny price to pay for such a cheap, reliable, easy to fly, and unbelievably well-equipped travel package. DJI Maverick 2 Pro. The second iteration of DJI's Maverick Pro delivers the sharpest videos and stills of any consumer drone, thanks to its gimbal-stabilized Hasselblad camera, which boasts a 1-inch CMOS sensor. Pictures are brighter, more detailed, and noticeably superior to those taken using the previous model. DJI has made improvements on the software side too, with new modes for capturing photos and videos, including hyperlapse, which creates stunning aerial videos. The Maverick 2 Pro looks identical to its predecessor, though it is 16mm longer, 8mm wider, and 173 grams heavier. You can certainly feel the extra weight when you hold it in the hand. In fact, it feels almost too heavy to fly. Just as well then, that it's almost impossible to crash, given that it has 10 obstacle sensors facing in every direction. So that's your first reason to buy one. The second reason is the new 3-axis gimbal-mounted Hasselblad camera, which comes fitted with a 1-inch CMOS sensor and an adjustable aperture that goes from f2.8 to f11. This is an exquisite piece of kit capable of shooting in several video resolutions, including 4K at up to 30 frames per second, 2.7K at up to 60 frames per second, and 1080p at up to 120 frames per second. It also takes strikingly sharp 20-megapixel RAW stills. The camera system supports the 10-bit D-Log M color profile for pro-style post-production color grading, and 10-bit HDR video for striking hyper-real footage. Flight-wise, the new Maverick 2 Pro is as rock-solid and confidence-inspiring as we've come to expect. At no point will you fear it'll just fly off into the sunset on its own, never to be seen again. With new, larger motors fitted to its 4 arms, the drone is now capable of hitting 44 miles per hour in sports mode and with the aid of a larger battery, able to remain aloft for up to 31 minutes at a time. It's also much quieter than any previous DJI drone, so hushed you can hardly hear it from just 30 meters away. Its OcuSync 2.0 transmission, meanwhile, offers crisp 1080p live streaming from up to 5 miles away. Like the early Mavic, this one also comes with 8GB of onboard storage, along with the obligatory micro SD card slot. The hand control is pretty much the same as the original, though it does have an additional 3-way speed switch, normal, sports, or tripod for extra convenience. Heading over to the DJI Go 4 app, the Mavic 2 Pro comes with a similar range of intelligent flight modes, plus the addition of a new hyperlapse function that captures stop frame visuals over a wide area before stitching it all together within the app. In fact, the only intelligent flight mode missing here is the gimmicky gesture hand control. DJI Maverick 2 Zoom. Rather like a car manufacturer launching different variants of the same model, DJI's Maverick 2 Zoom has the same DNA as its stablemate the Mavic 2 Pro. Both birds are the same size and pretty much the same weight. The Pro is a measly 2 grams heavier, and they're both equipped with the same multi-directional obstacle avoidance systems and the very same internals. In fact, the only difference between the two is the camera they're equipped with. Where the Pro comes with a Hasselblad camera replete with 1-inch sensor for professional, high-quality aerial photography, the Zoom forfeits image resolution in favor of a 2x optical zoom with a 35mm format equivalent focal length of 24 to 48mm. However, when it comes to 4K video, both models boast the same rosy specs: 4K at 30 frames per second, 2.7K at up to 60 frames per second, 1080p at up to 120 frames per second. So this is the model to buy if you plan to shoot far more video than you do stills. You might not use the zoom facility much, mind you, but it certainly comes into its own when you want to shoot animals without scaring them off, or getting closer to an interesting subject without straying into private airspace, or simply grabbing a money shot without having to fly beyond line of sight. Illegal, as it happens. Of course, one of the first things most new owners would do is select the dolly zoom function from the Mavic 2 Zoom submenu and bore the world of YouTube with the surfeit of vertical-style snippets of themselves standing in front of a large subject, like a monument or a mountain, while the whole background lunges forward behind them as if it were pumped up on steroids. It's a brilliant effect used by Hitchcock, Spielberg, and other directors, but it will probably soon wear thin. Perhaps the most attractive thing about the Mavic 2 Zoom is its price. It's £250 less than the Pro, and yet it shoots the same quality video while sharing the same superb flying characteristics. However, there may come a time when you wish to shoot some ravishing, raw, high-res aerial stills to impress the masses on Flickr and 500px. If that's the case, would recommend opting for the Mavic 2 Pro instead. DJI Spark. The DJI Spark is the company's most approachable drone, with its incredibly cool gesture controls that make you feel like a Jedi, and its different colored body shells. It's definitely more fun out of the box. It is easily controlled using your smartphone, but it's worth noting that that's the only controller you're going to have, unless you fancy buying a separate controller. It's definitely affordable in terms of drones, but we still would like to have a controller thrown in for good measure. It's an incredibly light drone, unsurprisingly, as it's the size of a can. This is both one of the greatest strengths and its greatest weaknesses, as it's super easy to carry around in your bag, but will be affected by wind during flight. However, because its propeller arms don't fold, it won't fit in a jacket pocket like the folded Maverick Air will. Even so, this AirSnap gizmo is still incredibly portable and probably the smartest selfie drone in existence right now, available in 5 lush colors. The Spark comes with front obstacle avoidance and is rock steady when flown indoors or out. Its camera shoots very acceptable 1080p video and 12 megapixel photos and is equipped with a 2-axis mechanical stabilizer for relatively smooth video footage. The battery provides around 16 minutes of flight time, which can be considered quite decent for a drone of this size. The Spark can be operated in 3 ways, using hand gestures, a mobile device, or for much greater range, up to 1.2 miles, a dedicated hand controller. While not designed for high-quality videography, it still shoots excellent footage. It's also reassuringly tough as nails, as was aptly demonstrated at the DJI event where one was accidentally flown at full speed, that's 50 km per hour, into a tree. The only thing damaged was a prop. Everything else, camera included, worked perfectly. Another great reason to consider snapping one up right away. Parrot Anafi. This lightweight, bug-like drone might be small, but its photography chops are among the most impressive around. Its camera has 180 degrees of vertical range, which enables it to take photos directly upwards, a feat no other drone can match. It also has a 2.8 times zoomable lens with no image quality reduction. The Parrot Anafi is a particularly good choice for selfie fans. Its follow me mode tracks your movement, adjusting automatically for more photogenic angles, and its smart dronies mode, orbit, parabola, boomerang, and tornado, cause the drone to fly around you in various circles and arcs. The main drawback is the Parrot Anafi's lack of obstacle avoidance, which makes it hard to recommend to new users. It's also a shame that a couple of flight modes are locked away as extra in-app purchases after you've paid for the drone. Where the Anafi shaves off the pounds is in the complete absence of obstacle avoidance tech. GPS and GLONASS are there, but used solely for its return-to-home abilities. Similarly, the lack of a downward-facing camera means that Anafi isn't one to fly indoors. It often drifts around, requiring constant manual corrections. Still, it's a joy to fly, responsive, agile, and swift. The Anafi can hit 33 miles per hour in sports mode, while the film setting limits speeds in order to keep things steady and smooth. Real-world range when using the included controller is sadly a long way off the claimed 4 kilometers. At 600 meters, the 720p video stream starts to break up and the drone threatens to fly home. That said, flying time of 25 minutes per charge is impressive. Several automated modes are built in, such as Cameraman, which frames a subject while you pilot the drone. Most work as intended, though the lack of obstacle avoidance means they're best tried in open spaces. Photographers will find the Anafi a welcome step forward for Parrot. It utilizes a Sony sensor to capture video at 4096 by 2180 resolution, with HDR and photos at up to 21 megapixels. While the promised lossless digital zoom proves to be anything but, in general, results are vivid, clean, and as good as you can get at the price. What's more, the nose-mounted camera is attached to a 3-axis gimbal that offers both excellent stabilization and 180 degrees of vertical movement, meaning you can film above the drone, something you can't do with the Maverick Air. Parrot Bebop 2 Power. The Bebop 2 is a mid-range offering which won't break the bank, yet offers a surprising amount of features for the price. The camera utilizes a fisheye lens, and stabilization software removes the need for a gimbal. Combined with the intelligent construction of the chassis, which uses rubber dampeners to reduce vibration in flight, this results in video footage that's refreshingly judder-free. The GPS-equipped Bebop 2 comes packed with tech that makes it incredibly easy to fly. You can use just an Apple or Android device, or, for an even more satisfying flight experience, the dedicated Sky Controller tablet dock. If you're feeling especially flush, you can take the Bebop 2 to the next level by purchasing the optional flight controller and FPV headset. The former connects to your smartphone and offers proper flight controls, while the latter uses your phone's screen to present a first-person view of what the Bebop 2 was actually seeing. It's initially quite jarring to fly the device in this fashion, but after a while, you'll wish all drones came with such an accessory. On the downside, Parrot has locked away some of the Bebop 2's more interesting features, such as route planning and follow me functionality, behind a paywall, which means the cost increases further if you want to use these. Battery life is also somewhat disappointing, so it may be worth investing in a spare power cell. The Bebop 2 flies for up to an impressive 25 minutes per charge and is equipped with an emergency cutout feature that stops the rotors as soon as they come in contact with an obstacle, which should help prolong its life. It's also light enough to survive the occasional crash. Flight itself has also been improved, with the power gaining several automated modes for movie-style shots and easier piloting. Object tracking is particularly useful, with the follow mode offering a hands-off experience when you want it. On board, there's a full suite of sensors ranging from GPS and GLONASS positioning to ultrasound on the base and an altimeter. All are used to ensure the return-to-home function works effectively. In the air, it's surprisingly stable even in gusty conditions. In video mode, speeds are limited in the name of smooth footage, while sports mode lifts the limits and unlocks the full 65 km/h pace. As for shooting, the Bebop 2 Power's 14-megapixel sensor can capture JPEG and RAW stills, as well as full HD video at 30 frames per second, though footage is only stabilized by a 3-axis digital process. Overall, image quality isn't as good as that of the other drones, but the Bebop 2 Power is still great fun to fly. With the goggles and extra battery, it's a cracking package at the price. DJI Inspire 2. Soundly knocking off its predecessor off the top spot is the highly impressive Inspire 2. With the sleek metal composite bodywork upgrade, it's a much more attractive piece of kit. What's more, With more advanced object avoidance technology, you don't have to worry about that beautiful body getting scratched by you accidentally clipping a tree. You get more than 25 minutes of flight time out of the twin battery arrangement, and the ability to swap camera lenses means that professional photographers and videographers have complete control over their images and 5K video. The fully featured smartphone app and dedicated remote control make this drone incredibly easy to control. But make no mistake, this is a professional piece of kit. When it comes to producing the very best cinema quality aerial footage, there's simply nothing out there to touch the Inspire 2. It weighs a hefty 4.25 kg, so you can forget about sticking it in your hand luggage. The Inspire 2 is made from carbon fiber and magnesium, and its dual battery system, 4 huge motors, and 13-inch propellers will take it to a top speed of 58 miles per hour and a flight time of up to 27 minutes. The landing gear is retractable, allowing pilots or a second camera operator to shoot a full 360 panorama. It also comes with forward, downward, and upward-facing obstacle avoidance sensors for extra confidence when flying in tricky locations. The Inspire 2's Pro-Spec Sine Core 2.0 image processing system is housed in the nose of the craft, which means only the camera's lens and sensor are attached to the gimbal. This reduces weight and allows for easy camera swapping. And speaking of cameras, the Inspire 2 comes with a choice of 5 different models, from the compact Micro Four Thirds Zen Muse X5 to the ultra high-end Zen Muse X7, which features a Super 35 sensor capable of shooting in 5.2K Apple ProRes. Needless to say, the imagery the stunning cinematic system produces is of the very highest order. DJI Phantom 4 Pro. The Phantom Pro is more aerodynamically styled than its predecessors and features 3-sided obstacle avoidance, a flight time of 30 minutes, a top speed of 45 miles per hour, and a flight range of 4.2 miles. There's more. Hop on your skis and it'll track you using its active track feature, or if you're a lazy flyer who can't be arsed with using a remote controller, a touch of the app's tap fly button will send it off in the direction of your choice, avoiding any solid obstacles en route. DJI has also developed a special remote controller with the built-in 5.5-inch screen that is brighter than most smartphones. Like the new Mavic 2 Pro, the Phantom Pro's camera features a 1-inch CMOS sensor capable of capturing 4K footage at up to 30 frames per second and 2.7K at up to 60 frames per second. It can also shoot 1080 at 120 frames per second, ideal for capturing fast-moving moments in slow motion. Make no mistake, this drone is still a class act, but clearly the new foldable Mavic 2 Pro and Zoom are about to steal its thunder. In fact, this may well be the last time we ever see the Phantom's iconic, if bulbous shape. Swan song or not, one shouldn't forget that this is the model that gave every budding photographer and cinematographer wings and access to a whole new level of creativity. The Phantom remains great, even if it will soon be ghosted. Zerotech Dubby. This impressively built, folding pocket drone is one of the smallest drones, is smaller than an iPhone, and also one of the cheapest. Despite its humbling status and rather odd name, the Dubby is a surprisingly powerful and versatile piece of kit. Pitched by Zerotech as a selfie drone, it's small enough to fit in your bag, which gives it an advantage over many drones, which are often too large to be carried around easily. The small size of the Dubby means it gets battered around in strong winds, but on a good day, its performance is impressive. It's controlled via smartphone application, and features such as orbital moves, object tracking, and facial recognition are all included as standard and are easy to execute. The drone's audio and visual sensors fixed on its underside mean you can perform palm takeoffs and landings, and you can use it indoors. For such a small drone, it should come as no surprise to learn that stamina is perhaps the biggest sticking point with the Dubby. The battery lasts between 5 and 10 minutes, depending on variables such as wind speed and recording time. Photo and video quality are also stepped down from some of the more expensive drones. Dubby is a damn easy thing to get off the ground and can fly up to 100 meters away via Wi-Fi from any iOS or Android device. Just fold the prop arms, sync your phone, and open the DoFun app. Now launch Dubby from the ground or toss it out of your hand and tap one of its intelligent flight modes: face or target tracking, video selfie, orbit, and somersault. You can even control it with your voice, though I can't see many British people over the age of 12 using this feature in public. Dubby can shoot in 4K, but only when digital stabilization (EIS) is off. As soon as you switch EIS on, and you need to, realistically, the image is cropped to 1080p. Also, because the camera's angle can't be controlled from the app, you need to tilt it manually to your preferred angle before takeoff. Dubby takes pretty good 13 megapixel stills, but because its camera doesn't have a gimbal, you do get an awful lot of rolling shutter, jelly-like movement when shooting videos. This is fixed to some degree by the tiny ND filter they now ship with the drone, but is still far from perfect. In a nutshell, the supremely portable Dubby may not be much use as a cinematic video drone unless there's almost zero wind, but it is brilliant for taking selfie snaps or short video bites. Rhys Telo. If you're looking for an affordable quadcopter to help hone your piloting skills and shoot the odd bit of B-roll video, then the Rhys Telo is the best one so far and edges out our previous favorite, the Parrot Mambo. Despite weighing only 80 grams and costing under £100, it can shoot HD video and 5-megapixel stills, as well as perform a range of preset special moves. Naturally, there are a couple of downsides to a drone being this small. It's not particularly happy when flying in breezy conditions, and the battery life is barely longer than 10 minutes. Still, while the body is made of plastic, it's tough enough to survive some crashes, and in the right conditions, the Telo is an impressively stable and responsive flyer. You can pair the Telo with a third-party gamepad controller, but it's easy enough to fly using the simple, intuitive Telo app. Thanks to its link with DJI, the Telo's flight controller is made by the drone manufacturer. It's a great first drone for kids or adults looking for a learner model to practice on before moving on to a bigger quadcopter like the DJI Maverick Air.